Wyrd Realities explores the paranormal, preternatural, and supernatural worlds that surround us. Here we delve into those topics that challenge us to think outside the limitations of realism, where we test the boundaries of imagination and are forced to think outside the confines and restrictions of what is normal. We are the creators, the writers, the artists, and the insane. Welcome to our Wyrd Realities.
Happy Thursday.
Hi,
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to the last show of 2023.
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
It does. Let's hope that 2024 is going to be a bit better than the last 4 years.
That's what we said in 22, in 21, and 20. Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Mike. Hey, Craig.
Craig.
Mr. Restucci is not with us tonight. I think he's
I gave him a solution. Yeah. Hadley.
You did.
You know?
The movies were so bad. The movies were so bad they made them sick. Londa is in the house.
Hey, Craig. Well, I don't have much to say about this week, except I did not enjoy any of the movies.
Oh. Hey, Landa. So they've gotten better nowadays at making video game movies. I mean, all these were early on. You know, even Silent Hill, they were early on in the process of studios trying to figure out how to make video games. You know, because now you have Resident Evil. The first one really was good. You know.
Yeah.
So I think they didn't know how to make them.
I can't believe that not one of us picked a Resident Evil.
Well, because we've all seen Resident Evil. It was just... Yeah. See, I thought Silent Hill would be a good pick because I thought it was one of the two that was well done and stayed close to the game.
Well, I'm not a gamer.
Tony Max?
Which probably has something to do with my not enjoying any of them. And the Max Payne was my pick, and I really thought that. I went to see this at the theater 100 years ago, and I was real excited to see it. But there's so many things in it that goes against the grain of sand in my body. About the folklore was so wrong, and I just couldn't get past it to enjoy the movie. And Mark Wahlberg was just flat. He just, not that he has a lot of depth outside of the Dirk Diggler movie, but so I was someone going to laugh about that. That was a good one.
Sorry, I'm noticing Craig's comment, and I want to ask him a question. Who? Which star?
What if you had a dog?
One of the dogs. One of the Dobermans. So, Hadley, why don't you just go into let's go into Max Payne since you're already started on him.
All right. Well, Max Payne is based off of a video game that was inspired by John Woo movies. So this sounds like something I would love, right? And then it's got this kind of supernatural element, and it just looked like it was going to be like really kick-ass. And no, that's not the point. I think it did probably stick close to the video game just based on what I've read. But again, not a gamer, so I just did not enjoy it. I'm not going to go into all the stuff that was wrong with it, but I'll just kind of set it up for y'all. So Max Payne is this detective who is in charge of cold case files. But primarily, he's taken this role on to try and spend the time to investigate the deaths of his wife and child. The murderer's never been caught, and he has just gotten obsessed with it. I think, was he DEA or some type of other type of agent before?
No, I think he was just a detective, like a homicide detective.
Well,
I believe.
This movie has got a star-filled cast. It's got Mila Kunis, Beau Bridges, Ludacris, Chris O'Donnell, Donald Lowe, Kate Burton and Olga Kurlenko, I think is how you say her name. She was a Bond girl, and a ton of other faces that you'll recognize. But so it starts off, and there's these mysterious deaths. Oh, okay, he goes to this party and he hooks up with this Russian bad girl, and she's trying to pick him up. She goes to his apartment, lets herself in. He finds her half naked in his bed, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't get over my past to have a tryst with you, lady." So she walks off, and this again supernatural kind of creature swoops down from the sky. I think there were two of them, and they tear her to pieces. And lo and behold, when the cops come, they come and pick Max Payne up as a favor, his old partner. And it's because his wallet was at the scene. So anyway, that's kind of where we're going with this. There's lots of stuff that happens. It had a really nice kind of Constantine feel to it that I really liked. So it had like the really slow bullet cutting through the rain shots, and the cinematography was really great. But again, the acting very slow. Mila Kunis is supposed to be like this badass Russian mobster person, and she just kind of still seemed like Jackie from that 70s show. So that just kind of fell flat for me. And I really like her, so it's not that. It's just she was just still so fresh. She didn't have the depth of what you would think a Russian mobster would have. But visually stunning. I would if you like this kind of movie, again, the video game's inspired by John Woo shoot 'em ups, which again I'm down with. But I did find the acting kind of dry. Not Mark Wahlberg's best at all.
No.
And we're gonna say it again. He had depth in that Dirk Diggler movie, Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
So we know he's got the acting range that he can. Everything I say sounds wrong. He can perform.
Is that the range you're talking about? That was a prosthetic in that movie.
I'm sorry. I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard. But yes, he can perform good.
What movie are we talking about now?
He can.
Oh, I wish Hadley was live. I'd love to see her face already.
Right.
So,
say Dirk Diggler 3 times real fast.
Dirk Diggler.
Fast.
Dirk Diggler. Can't say it fast. I'm Southern. Well, Mike Lewis, if you haven't seen Boogie Nights, you should watch it. He won an Academy Award for it, I think. Anyway, as I said, this was more Marky Mark than Mark Wahlberg, and I'm going to leave it at that. He just looked like a model who was put in clothes and told to look pretty, and that was pretty much it. It was not a favorite.
We should all suffer that fate. Here, wear these, look pretty.
I don't need to wear.
I'm big fan of this game. Tina and I played the hell out of Max Payne 1 and 2. I loved it back in the 90s. They had the bullet time, the slow bullets, and all that. Club Ragnarok was part of the subway scene was part of it too. The parts they show in the movie, but it just fell flat. And they had a lot of actors in it, that you're familiar with, but they all had 5-minute parts.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Mila Kunis and Marky Mark and Beau Bridges. And it's nice to see Beau Bridges playing a bad guy.
Yeah.
And doesn't he always play a bad guy though? A bad guy or a grandfather?
Well, grandfather bad guy, because he was the bad guy. He was the big heavy, in this. He pretended to be Mac's buddy and mentor and all that, and then he, tries to kill him. And he sounded more and more like his brother nowadays. He sounds more like Jeff Bridges, that gravelly voice. But this movie was boring. I went to movies and saw it, and we thought it was I thought it was okay, and I watched it again. And it was kind of boring because nothing really happens. It's visually beautiful. It's like you said, it's like Constantine, or what's that movie? Sin City. It's like
Yeah,
Sin City kind of, with the contrast of the colors and stuff, and the gunfights are pretty cool. But it just, it's like they didn't know where to go with it, especially throwing in the Valkyrie and the
I'm not even
what
gonna
they,
talk about
the
that. Like,
demons and stuff, So yeah, I didn't care for this.
do you
No,
think?
that was Jeff Bridges, Mike. That was Jeff Bridges, his brother in Iron Man. But
Do
anyway,
you think that the reason it was so choppy was they were actually mimicking the game? Because that's really what it seemed like. In the game, you have like these um, characters that come in, they have like 5 seconds, and then they're off screen, and you don't see them again. They just have a point.
yeah.
And I remember at the time thinking that must be why it was, but rewatching it, it's like I guess games have come a long way.
Yeah, oh yeah. And the game was really brutal because it's the first one I ever had when you go into the kids' nursery and they've been murdered. He runs in and there's murdered bodies. They really don't show the kid, but it was pretty for the time. It was pretty brutal. So it was kind of ahead of its time. But this didn't do it for me. It did back in the 90s when I watched it. I thought it was okay, but then I watched it again, and it's style over substance, definitely. Scott?
I agree with all of you. Now, I never played the video game, so I can't compare it. The movie was cinematographically, it was great. There were scenes that reminded, like you said, Sin City, where you could see it was the real character with that darkish background to it. The action when it took place was good. As I joked earlier, Mila Kunis in a leather outfit, that made part of the movie for me. But it wasn't that exciting. It didn't attract my attention. I mean, it wasn't a bad movie, but this is not the type of movie that I'd watch again. It was good. I liked the creatures in it. I could see when he drinks blue stuff, and all of a sudden he becomes, way beyond himself. I mean, that was definitely had a video game quality to it. But yeah, it was, as a movie, it was okay. I can't compare it to the video game, so on that respect, I don't know.
All right. So what do you want to give this one? Hadley?
I'm going to go with a 3.5.
Scott?
2.5.
Yeah, I'll give it
3.5 because the others were so much worse.
I'll give it a 3. And,
yes, Fred sits there and watches me with the droopy face, like this is like the 23rd hour in a row I've abandoned him. He doesn't tell you that, we just took a half-hour nap together.
Oh. Well, since you're going to do 2 of them, you want to jump in with one, then I'll jump in after that, and then you can take us out with it.
Okay. Did I rate it? I don't think I did.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 2 point. I did rate it?
Yeah, you gave it a 2.5. Is that what you did?
Okay, I did. All right, let me take over Rich's movie. Rich had picked Doom. Now, I'll tell you, I loved this video game. I played the original Doom. I played Doom 3, which the movie was based on. I played that in regular mode 2 or 3 times. I played it on nightmare mode. I loved the game. I was so excited when this movie came out, and this movie, to me, sucked on 2 levels. It had very little comparison to the movie itself, to the game itself. The whole plot of it is simple. It's a colony on Mars. They found while doing some digging, they found an archaeological find, And the more digging and the more research they did, they find out that there is this evil that takes over and turns it de-evolves or evolves in rapid directions any human being, so they become demons. And Karl Urban and The Rock are sent there to something's going on, so they're sent there to break in to the secret part of it and save the scientists. And there's a lot of, I mean, the costumes are great. The cinematography is great. The sets are great. The characters aren't that bad. And the monsters are very well done. But what I didn't like about it was this was a first-person shooter game. There was very little in the way of explanation. You start up, there's like a 5-minute intro, boom, the game goes nuts, and then all of a sudden the guy's got a shotgun and he has to fight his way through the entire base. And it's just kill, 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 kill. It's what I loved about it. It was a first-person shooter. This movie dragged on, and character development and plot development. And then you see a monster. Oh, let's film this monster in a dark room, so we really don't get to see him that well. The only part of the movie that was an acknowledgement to the game was, to me, the worst part of the movie because it stood out so differently. It was like a 5-minute scene where Karl Urban has to go from one location to the other after he's taken medicine to pump him up, and it's done first-person shooter. You've got his weapon, and monsters jump out at him, and he shoots them, and he kills some of them. He kills in unique ways, and then once he gets to his destination, boom, everything goes back to normal. And then there's this huge fight scene at the end, which never took place in the book, in the game, and I just thought it was kind of stupid. Now, having said all that, I've watched this movie 5 or 6 times because I do enjoy the creatures. I do enjoy some of the scenes, and come on, they had the biofueled gun, the BFG, known affectionately by fans of the game as the big friggin' gun. And he didn't say friggin'. So, very poor adaptation of the game. A passable movie. But it's one of these movies, watch it once, but, I doubt you'll watch it a second time.
Well, I never played the game. One of my sons did, and we had it on our computer. We had a little computer station at the end of our hallway in our house, and the hallway would keep it dark. And he started playing it, and he had to stop because it scared him. I remember that. He's like, I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "It's just too scary for me." He was a teenager, scared the crap out of him. So I've never seen this. I read one of the books or a couple of the novels, which are actually pretty, fun to read. I like this movie. It's not a great movie, but I do like it. I don't have the attachment of a gamer would have, if I was, a fan of the game. But the cast, man, you got Dwayne Johnson, Karl Urban, Rosamund Pike, Richard Brake, who always plays a great bad guy.
Yeah.
And you have Dexter Fletcher. He was Sergeant Talbot in Band of Brothers, and he directed that new Elvis movie. I mean, you had a pretty solid cast. You even had Doug Jones, the Monster Man himself, playing some of the monsters. So it had a good cast. I like when The Rock changes from a good guy to a bad guy, because you've never seen him really play a bad guy in movies. And this was, of course, the beginning of his career, really. And, so I think it was okay. I've watched it like you. I watched it 5, 6 times. I don't watch it because it's a good movie. I watch it because it's got some fun elements and it's got creatures in it, Marines going, shit I like. Marines going on a mission and getting attacked and killed and stuff. And you got a little bit of smarmy characters in there, like the guy that'll screw anything, Richard Brake, they're talking
Yeah.
about all that stuff. And the BF, like you said, the BFG, that was great. And this movie is an Academy Award winner compared to the sequel. I don't know if you've seen the sequel on Netflix, but
I don't
it's
know. I'll
not
have to
good.
check it out.
It is not good. And they could have made a good movie, because you could have made a really good movie out of this, Yeah, but they made an okay movie. So I like it. Don't love it. I'll watch it every 5 years, 3 years, whatever. That's my opinion. Hadley?
First off, I'm gonna have to agree with Mona about young Carl Urban was and a young Dwayne Johnson made it worth watching. And I will say this: Dwayne Johnson has really grown as an actor.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
He was so stiff in this. I mean, in some ways, it didn't even look like him. Like, I don't know if he's like grown up as another person. He just seems much larger now. But he's someone I really enjoy to watch on film. And this just didn't have the magic that he has. Very stiff in it. But I kept thinking of The Ghost of Mars.
Oh yeah.
So I kept comparing it to that in my head, but I like The Ghost of Mars better.
Yeah.
So,
but that's a Carpenter movie. It's got to be good.
Yeah.
You know how Alan feels about Carpenter. But
I don't hate that one. I don't hate that one.
Craig, these movies were not good this week. So yes, that's where I'm landing on it. Was what I did enjoy was the man meat.
So you're landing on the man meat?
Yes. So I just couldn't really get into it. It was just lost. I mean, it wasn't that great.
And it did not do well with the viewers. They spent $60 million making this movie, and it only grossed a little over 58 million worldwide.
Oh wow.
And I think that's because, all of the gamers like me were like, oh my God, this is going to be so action-packed. And it's just like,
right.
I'm going to take a nap while they discuss, what it's like being the sister and the brother.
So I'm going to bring this up. And y'all know I don't really do numbers, but I want to say that the Max Payne budget was like $45 million. And it made like $85 million. So
wow.
Let me check.
Doom had a bigger budget than Max Payne. And I don't know where it went. I guess it might have been feeding those big guys.
Well, I'm thinking
probably into Marky Mark's underwear.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking it all went into the special effects. I mean, the movie itself wasn't Max Payne, and Doom wasn't good, but the special effects in them were really good.
Yeah, I guess so.
Let's see. The budget for Max Payne was $35 million. It made $40 million in the U.S. and worldwide gross of $87 million.
And what was Doom's?
I'm sorry?
What was Doom's budget?
Doom's was $60 million. The budget was $60 million. It made $58 million worldwide gross.
Wow.
So.
Dang. I mean, it's one of those movies that everybody's seen, It's just one of those movies that everybody's watched at least once. So it's weird, you know what I mean? Everybody's got an opinion on Dune. Everybody's seen it. So, I think it's a win right there for them. Probably not back. I'm sure not back then when they're like, oh man, we got to, this thing's not making money. But now it's one of those movies that everybody's seen, whether you like it or, don't. But
just interrupt for a second. Max, it's ironic. I watched the original Assault on Precinct 13 last night myself.
That one's brutal.
Oh God! Oh my God! That one is just so good, and you love the characters in that one. And I never realized that. Well, sorry, that's a Carpenter movie. We'll talk. We can do that later. So what
I
do
mean,
you
it's
guys
one
rate?
he's remade 6 times.
Oh God, I hated the remake. But it was fun to see so many people from the other Halloween movies in this one.
Yeah.
So what do you rate this one, Hadley?
2.
2?
Oh, dang. I'll give it a
Rick?
3. I'll give it a 3, Scott, because I watch it every once in a while.
Yeah, I give it a 3 as well. And again, it's just, I do something while I'm watching it, and then, there's going to be a fight scene with a monster. Let me watch that. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, these movies aren't doing so good. I'm sure mine will do really good. I picked the Super Mario Brothers movie, 1993 Super Mario movie. My advice is watch the 2023 one. You'll enjoy that one a lot, a hell of a lot more. I remember when this came out, we went to the movies to see it. It was a big, huge movie. It's supposed to be a big budget, a big movie. They thought they were going to make some money off this thing with all the gamers, all the Mario Brother fans. It was like someone was on acid when they wrote the script to this thing because it is such a bizarre movie, and it's a product of the late 80s, early 90s. You can just see that in the filming of this, the sets, the costumes. It's crazy. It's got a great cast. It's got Bob Hoskins from Roger Rabbit and a ton of other great flicks. John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, Samantha Mathis from that John Travolta movie where the nuclear weapon goes nuclear miss. They lose that nuclear
Broken Arrow.
bomb or whatever. Yeah, Broken Arrow. It's got Fisher Stevens from that robot movie where the robot goes, takes off. There's 2 of them. I can't think of the name of it.
Wally.
What is it?
Was it the Wally movie or?
No, it was from the 80s. It was that robot, and I think Ali Sheedy or something like that's in
Oh,
it.
yeah.
He plays the Indian. He plays the Indian scientist in it. Something you couldn't do these days. And then it's got a Richard Edson from Platoon and Fiona Shaw. She's in Harry Potter movies, and if you've seen Killing Eve, she's the MI6 lady. She's great. Look her up. She's great.
Mike
Anyway,
got
Short Circuit. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike. But it's trippy. This is a trippy movie. I can't say that I hated it. Mario and Luigi, they are helping this gal Daisy, who is Princess Daisy. Apparently, when a meteor came millions of years ago and it killed the dinosaurs and separated our reality from theirs, and now there's a separate reality, and it's trying to break through to ours. And they're dinosaur people and just angry people and gross people in this dimension. What?
They got the little bitty heads.
Yeah.
The goobas. I just watched it today. But so Dennis Hopper is the leader of these people, and he's trying to get Princess Daisy, and he's trying to get this fragment of the meteor that she has on her neck as a necklace and plug in his army of goobers, goombas, whatever, to turn into our reality and take over, and they'll have all the food they want, all the good stuff that we have here. And this is just a crazy movie. It's violent. It's not really for kids, but it kind of is. It's a weird, trippy movie. I mean,
like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Huh?
It's like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
It is. It's got Walk the Dinosaur on the soundtrack by Was Not Was. It's got Roxette's got a song on it. I mean, and then it's crazy. This is a crazy flick. If you go in thinking you're going to watch a Mario Brothers movie based off the game or the cartoons, it's not. This thing is just totally bizarre. And Lucas, they all do a good job in acting because the acting's campy in this. And who knew that Dennis Hopper and John Leguizamo would face off in Land of the Dead many years later?
That's right, they do.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool seeing that. And Dennis Hopper is basically playing the same kind of character, mad ruler of a place. And actually, he steals the show. His acting is he's out there. He's like Nicolas Cage. If you let him go, He's entertaining as hell. Weird movie. My grandson came in and watched it a few times, came back and forth watching it. And he's like, I'm telling him it's a Mario Brother movie. And he's like, what? What? I had to explain who they were, you know. But I didn't hate this movie. I would never watch it again. But it was fun to watch it this time because it's just a product of the late 80s, early 90s. You know, all of it is. So what say you two?
How do you go for Fred's getting
Or going, Scott, you go ahead.
okay. I never played the game. And through the whole movie, I'm waiting for this giant gorilla to throw barrels at them, but I guess that never happened. It was bizarre. I can see 10, 11, 12-year-olds in 93 loving this movie because it was just insane. It was over the top. It was crazy. The only thing that saved this was, as you said, Alan, the actors. You know, I had to stop and rewind when John Leguizamo first came on. Because it's like I recognize the voice. I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, oh my God, this had to be like one of his first movies. You know, and he's played such a really good bad guy. And to see him as like, you know, somebody who could be dating my niece just was a riot. I would never watch it again unless I was like really drunk or high. I thought it was made for kids. By the time 1993 hit, kids had seen everything anyways. But yeah, it was for me the worst movie of the night. It was fun to watch the actors not taking themselves or the roles seriously. It was a little bit like Tank Girl. You know, it was a bizarre movie, but the actors and actresses were just, they were having fun with it because they knew they were never going to win an Academy Award. But I could never watch this movie again.
Yeah, I gotta say, hey Ollie. I gotta say hi to Ollie. It was like I said, it's like an acid trip, you know. The choices they made on some of this stuff, you know, the little bombs. Well, you didn't play the game, but these bombs play a big part in some of the games and stuff. And they had that fungusy. Oh, it had Lance Henriksen in it too from Alien.
Very briefly, yes.
Yeah, very briefly, and he was the king, the fungus guy. So it was weird. It was just a weird movie, you know, and parts of it were fun-landed, but I just think if you're waiting for more, it just didn't appear, you know. What about you, Hadley?
It had the best acting of all the movies we watched.
Wow.
But it was just bad. It was just bad. Those little dino heads. And I guess maybe I just didn't realize that what was his name, the little dinosaur. I didn't realize he was a dinosaur. I thought he was a turtle. All this time I thought he was a turtle.
Yeah, they made a weird choice with Yoshi. He's like a little dinosaur thing, but they made it look weird. Hey, David.
David.
And K-Jacked.
Always begging for him. Is she really taking over for Rich?
She's always been the snarky one.
I'm not that snarky.
Oh, yes, you are.
Well, I said that someone needed to bring marshmallows so we could roast these movies, though. It was a bad week for me. But next week we're gonna have more fun. But yeah, I didn't. Well, I will say, Alan, I did kind of curse you when I was watching it. I was like, what the hell is Alan making me watch?
Well, there aren't that.
I did think that maybe 2 or 3 times.
But there aren't that many movies based off of video games.
There's a lot more now. But I will say Mario Brothers is the only game I can remember playing outside of the Atari days. But I do remember playing Mario Brothers over at a friend's house. But Yeah, it just really was not a gripping movie. And I don't think it was as fun as it could have been because it was so weird, Alan.
Yeah. It just, I don't know. They threw, I'm going to go back to this again, the 90s sensibilities in it, the big dance scene in the bar and all that stuff, the way the people were dressed in the town and stuff. It was like going to see, what's that movie with Schwarzenegger on Mars? The town scene when he's going through the town scene. It was just, they were dressed like that. It was like Mad Max and uh, Roller Baby or Solar Babies had a baby and made a movie. It's just, it was just out there,
I did think it was really fun that they're playing in the nightclub the dinosaur song.
Wow.
I thought, considering they were all from dinosaurs, it was funny.
Total Recall. Thank you, David. Yeah, I didn't remember that song was in there because I loved that group. I didn't know that song was in there. But and the guy that did the dinosaur effects and the guys with the little heads was Patrick Tatopoulos. He did the aliens for Independence Day and a lot of those movies. So it had some good creature effects.
His art.
Yeah, that just definitely was his trial run.
Well, so what are we gonna give this?
Well, let me try and spit this out. Those dinosaur, like 8-foot tall, 4-foot wide dinosaurs with like the softball sized heads.
Goombas.
Their heads look like plastic dinosaurs that we played with when we were children. That's how horrible that makeup or FX was. It was just terrible. Terrible. No, Craig. I could have, if I was looking that hard, John Leguizamo would have looked good. He was hottie back in the day. He's still hot.
I was going to say, he's still a good-looking guy, even as he gets older.
I've always thought he's sexy. So
it's just he went from being a Mario Brothers to the main villain in Violent Night.
Oh, y'all remember him in Spawn? He was good in Spawn too.
Just his personal leanings have just turned me off from him watching him as an actor anymore. He just spouts stuff that's like, I'm not even talking about political. It's just like,
Oh, I found an old interview Barbara Walters did with Sean Connery. We talk about somebody who could not withstand today's element.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, rating this, what did we give it?
I feel attacked by you two. I mean, I didn't love this movie, but it's my movie.
I'm not attacking you. The movie was good for what it was. If I'm correct, and it was made for children who played the Mario game, the movie succeeded. If the movie was made for 20-year-olds that played the Mario game, unless they were like on drugs at the time, then the movie didn't meet its standards.
It was made for under 50 million and it made 40 million. So,
wow.
I'm
being trashed here. Your nephew says you're broke and that he's better. First of all, I don't know what my nephew's talking about. I never played Fortnite, and I've never played against him in a game. So he's just dissing on me.
We're just used to
feeling the love tonight. We're feeling the
love. So what are we going to give this Academy Award winner?
2, and that's only because of the big name actors.
I'll go with a 3.
A 3?
Yeah.
Did Harry see a 3?
The story was better than some of the others, but it was just a weird, dated movie.
It is a weird dated movie. I will
not be watching this again. I had not watched it before.
Yeah, I'll give this a 2. It was hard to get through. It really was.
It was.
I just feel attacked because it was my pick, but I didn't enjoy it either.
Well, Rich's movie was the worst for me. So
Whose movie was?
Riches.
I just didn't like it.
I don't. To me, this was the worst movie.
Yeah. Yeah. This
But
and
he had better acting. I mean, and that's what I'm rating mine on, was how solid was the acting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I could see that. They were acting in a Mario world.
Yeah.
and that's what I liked about it. They were doing a good job acting in the world they were doing. But
Yeah.
it was like I felt like I'm watching a movie that was made for my 10-year-old nephew.
And it's one of those movies that really make me feel like I can hear the studio in the background directing everything going on.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Hey, Doc.
I thought,
Yeah. You can. It's definitely a product of the system, And I don't think they had any idea how to make this movie.
Marky Mark
It's
couldn't
better
save
animated. What'd you say, Hadley?
Marky Mark couldn't save my movie, and it had really good effects. It just the acting sucked.
But could David Hasselhoff save it?
David Hasselhoff
No.
swinging in with what's his name? Gosh, what is that little guy's name? Richard Simmons.
Richard Simmons would have fit into that environment perfectly.
Okay, everybody, Valkyrie time. Yeah.
Jazz hands.
All right. I guess we should shovel the Mario Brothers back into place where they belong. How about you, Scott? Let's hear Silent Hill.
I didn't pick Resident Evil because everybody's seen it. Everybody knows how, the comparison to the game. We've talked about it on this show and other shows. Resident Evil was one of the very few movies, the first Resident Evil and the second, that matched very well the video game. So I decided to pick Silent Hill, which I thought, my opinion, is very well adapted to the first two video games. If you've never seen it, very brief summary. The Sean Penn and his wife have this little girl who's having these nightmares, and she keeps on.
Who?
Not Sean Penn. I'm sorry,
Sean Bean. Sean Bean.
I watched the wrong movie.
I know, right?
And the mother decides to take this girl to Silent Hill, where all these dreams have taken place. And she's being chased by, on the way there, she meets the cop. Hang on a second. Laurie Holden, who was also from The Walking Dead. And Rhoda Mitchell plays Sean Bean's wife, Rose. And the cop gets suspicious, chases them. They get to Silent Hill, which has been a city that's been abandoned for decades. There's an accident. Rose wakes up. She's in this completely different environment. It's very dark. There's a constant layer of like soot falling around, and she goes looking for her daughter. And the movie is bizarre. If you've never played the game, the movie, you wonder what the hell is going on. 1 minute, it's just looks like an abandoned town covered in soot. Then this scary siren sounds, and everything melts down. The walls, the floors, everything just melt away. And the whole thing turns from an abandoned town into this nightmarish, hellish scenario. And her and the cop have to figure out what's going on. And the end of the movie is actually the end of the second Silent Hill. Now, I enjoyed this movie. I thought there was a very creepy element to it. The acting wasn't great, but you weren't watching this for the acting. I thought the story kept very well in line with the video games. The town itself, Silent Hill, is based on Centralia in Pennsylvania, the town where the fire broke out in the mines underneath, like in the movie. And if you ever get to Centralia, and I posted a picture on it on my Facebook page, they based the cathedral, the church where everybody hangs out, on the church that's left in Centralia. They look very similar. But I love this movie. The monsters in this were good. The little girl that was tortured, the sightless nurses looked so much like the ones in the game. The pyramid head, the cockroaches, the zombie-like creatures. I love this movie. I watch this one very frequently. Again, it's not because the acting is great. The acting it's very passable for the movie. Alice Krieger's probably got the best acting role as the Witchfinder General. This woman who's so obsessed, who's so fanatical in her religion that she's willing to burn people alive at the stake. She reminds you of someone from like 1690s Salem. But I thought it was a good movie. I thought, like I said, I thought it was creepy. The special effects are phenomenal. The creatures are done very well. The characters are well developed, and it kept very well with the movie. So that's the reason I picked this. But apparently, Hadley doesn't like it.
I'm not a gamer.
Well, let's hear your thoughts.
I feel like this movie was one that you really needed to be familiar with the game to really enjoy. Mm-hmm. It was not a standalone. It was creepy as all get out, but again, I didn't really understand it. And at the ending, I don't know what happened. Like, I left the room for a minute. Maybe I missed something. Who knows? There was stuff going on. But I was like, what the fuck? Oh, excuse me. I was like, WTF.
What?
Allie was the first to swear.
I think that I had the swear jar full. But yeah, so that was my problem with it was, and I'm sure that it was good for people who gamed. Not a gamer. It was creepy, but I didn't really understand what all was going on. It was just kind of disjointed for me.
Is that
Do I need to say more?
I don't know. Do you?
That's all I got.
Well, I'm with you, Hadley. I've never played this game before, and I was kind of lost in part, especially the ending. Is this another movie where Sean Bean dies?
I was going to say.
No.
It's a movie that he's lived that I'm familiar with.
No, because I think he's the main character in the second one. And just so you know, I don't remember this from the video game either. But at the end of it, she sucked, the cop, and her daughter are sucked into this like alternate world. Because throughout the movie, you have Sean Bean and the cop, walking, and then they'll impose a scene of her running the other way. And like in one scene, she passes through him in the different universe. And then the end of it, I guess, again, this was not related to the video game, but you're supposed to assume that even though she escaped, she's still stuck in that alternate universe. She can be in the same house with her husband, but they'll never see each other. Which, in some respects, not.
Some people live like that. The nurses and the Pyramid Head guys are so iconic.
Yeah.
I didn't need to play the game to have seen those somewhere in the media. And it was great. They did that great. And it was creepy as fuck. It really was. But it just didn't grab me. But I've never played the game before. I've never played that kind of game, The acting was decent. You know, you had a bunch of genre actors in there. You even had Kim Coates. You know, he's the other cop. But it wasn't my favorite, and I would probably never watch it again. They do have a series on Tubi. I don't know if you're aware of that, Scott.
No,
There
a
is a
Silent
Silent Hill,
Hill.
yeah, on Tubi,
I'm definitely going
and
to be checking that out.
I believe they're remaking it. I believe it's in production right now. Is a remake of Silent Hill.
We'll
So
have to
you
see.
get more into it,
They did a sequel to it, which I couldn't even get
right?
through.
Well, I think that the dude from Game of Thrones was Jon Snow. I think he was hot at the minute, and they were, you know, looking for something to put him in, and they put him in. You know, so yeah, that wasn't. I saw the parts of that wasn't very good.
And this
They
movie didn't do that well. Sorry, but
no, go ahead.
they made it for 50 million. It grossed 47 million in the States and a little over 100 million worldwide. So it didn't do well like Doom and some of the other ones.
Well, it's creepy. It is creepy though. You know, it is creepy. Battleship was fun. Battleship was a fun movie.
Yes.
Definitely
But
was.
technically, Battleship was not a video game. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the reasons why I didn't pick it. Oh, it's corny as hell. But my favorite scene in that is when they're on the Missouri and they get all the vets to come back and join them for the one final battle.
Yeah. That was a good. That was another. The main actor Tyler Kitsch. He poor guy. He headlined 3 movies that failed that year. John Carter of Mars, Battleship, and I forgot the other one.
Oh.
So he kind of took it in the shorts for a while in getting hired in anything big, you know. But he was a leading man in 3 movies that just tanked. And John Carter of Mars isn't bad. It's just been done before because it's the grandfather of all these, you know, of Star Wars, all these movies. It's the grandfather.
And Battleship had one thing going for it. Liam Neeson.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say I think Rich Restucci set us up. I think he has pranked us because all these
Oh, yeah?
video movies, it was his idea. And where is he tonight? Not here.
Yeah. Well, we could do board game movies that were board games.
No.
Well, then we could do Battleship.
Clue. Anything else? Any other one that was a board game? Yeah. Yeah.
I guess
I'm with
Craig
you
is not a fan of Liam Neeson.
there.
So, what do we give Silent Hill? I'm giving it a 4. I'm giving it a 4.5.
I'm gonna give it a 3 for creepiness.
Okay.
They did
I'll go with
on
it for creepiness because it was creepy. I just didn't know what was going on. I needed a little guidebook to say this is what's going on here, Heather.
Right.
And that, you know, I never really thought of that. Having played the game, I kind of like knew what was going on and where they were heading. But
right. Yeah, we could have thrown Five Nights at Freddy's on here, but I think we reviewed that already, right?
We did, I think. That's why we did. Yeah, that's what my niece and nephew was saying. Why did you do Five Nights at Freddy's?
Yeah, we already did it. I mean, there's a ton to pick from. You know, Tomb Raider, like Battleship wasn't a video game, but yeah, there's a ton of them. But you know,
most of them don't transfer well into a movie.
No, and all of ours did.
Yeah.
There are some people who would go down on the hill of Max Payne, and like I said, it was not that great for me. But it was the acting. They had the cast that could have supported it. So there was some kind of cutting room floor incident. I did hear that there is supposed to at some point in time be a gamer's cut that is going to be put out for the people who are big fans. Because a lot of stuff didn't make it into the movie.
Max Payne?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know
Making
if it
these different
works.
cuts now.
It can't make Marky Mark act any better in it. So just put a leather coat on him and give him a police badge.
They had
Great.
Marky Mark on the soundtrack of Super Mario Brothers too.
Craig, I would love to see Half-Life as a series as well. However, and I don't remember, I think it's Apple TV this year is going to, or 2024, is releasing a series based on Fallout. And from the
Yeah.
pictures I've seen and from what I've read, it is very accurate and stays very well with the video game.
Scott, I think it's Amazon. I think it's Amazon that's doing
You're
it
right.
because I
It might be
saw a
Amazon.
trailer. They have a trailer for it. It's
Okay.
pretty cool looking too. And I've never played the game, but it looks cool.
Well, I've got
Yeah, that
two.
world.
Number one is I'm excited about 2024 because we have a schedule and a theme. And our theme is movies I can't believe we haven't reviewed. And everybody had to pick a movie. So that's going to be fun. There's a lot of old movies coming up. And number two is if you don't have Apple TV, you are missing out on a lot of really good shows.
Yeah, I've been watching that Godzilla series. It's not
Monarch.
bad.
It's
I'm just on the
really,
first episode.
it's really good as you get into it and you find out, and it prepares the history. And my nephew, I'm not going to tell anything. My nephew and I watch it every Friday night when it comes out. He picks out things that are shadowing what's going to happen to one of the legendary movies. So,
Oh wow.
yeah.
Have
So
y'all seen
what are you two watching right now? Is there anything you two out there recommend?
I'm about to start watching an Apple series called Frontier. No, it does not have Jason Momoa in it. It is based on some Isaac Asimov. I can't say his last name.
Asimov.
Science fiction stories.
Oh, Foundation. Is it
Is it
Foundation?
Yeah, Foundation.
Foundation.
It
Okay.
looks really good. I just finished up with 3 seasons of The Morning Show, which, if you haven't seen that, it really was good. It took me a couple of episodes to kind of get into it, but I had heard it gets really good, and it did. The acting in it is supreme. So, if you want something a little bit different, because I jump genres, so
Right.
sometimes I just need something away from the horror. And I did that. So watched some good movies this week. Watched Rebel Moon. Watched Operation Fortune. We're going to review those next week.
I watched Silent Night the other night. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, I watched it today.
I don't want to talk about it.
The gimmick definitely worked against it.
I don't know. I was in it until near the ending when they had the incident with the Russian chick with the assault rifle. I'm sorry, it's not an assault rifle. The Russian chick with the automatic rifle. And at that point, it was just sort of like, okay, this is stupid.
Yeah. The ending was definitely. I didn't care for the ending. It's House of the Dragon. Huh?
It was kind of unique, though, that they did almost the entire movie with no dialogue.
Yeah, to me, I think some of that works against it. I mean, they don't have to show me 20 times that he loved his son.
Yeah.
I got it at the beginning.
They needed more dialogue. That's all I'm going to say. It did not need to be that night did not need to be that silent. Let's just put it that way.
They did. They did. Antonio Banderas did it. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Knights of the Zodiac is out on Netflix now. That looks pretty good.
Oh.
And there's another series that just came out. I'm watching a Korean series on Netflix that I will not butcher it by trying to say, but it's
Son, the one that takes place at the end of World War II.
Something creature.
Yeah, Jung Sung, I think it is.
Have you seen it?
I saw the first episode, and started to watch the second one last night, but I was doing something on the computer, so I switched over to a movie that I didn't have to give my full attention to. But
the first 7 minutes of the first episode drugged me in and slapped me upside the face and made me sit down and watch the rest of the episode. It was so good.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the episode kind of dragged, but it gets good in the next one. So that's when it really starts picking up again, in case you're wondering. But
and that's, sorry. I'm sorry, I thought you were done. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I'm done. I was going to say Alan would like it.
And Squid Games season 2 has started.
Yeah, I'll have to check those out. I've been watching Reacher. This season is really good. Big fan of the book series.
Tulsa
Kings really
to be coming out sometime. Huh? Season 2 is Tulsa Kings.
Oh, is that coming out?
Supposed to. I keep seeing it trending that the season 1's up, so they must be getting ready to put season 2 out. Nice.
That's a good series. And Yellowstone, who knows what's going on with that? You know, it's self-destructed right now as far as everything that's going along with it. So who knows when the next season will be out? But that's a fun series.
And the series coming out that I'm really excited about, yes, Fred, I'll be with you in a minute, is Apple TV is doing the third version. They've done Band of Brothers. They've done The Pacific. They're doing the series about the air war over Europe in World War II.
Oh, that'll be awesome.
And they said they took a lot from what those poor guys in the B-17s went through. So
that should be
Masters of the Air.
That's it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I need to watch Reacher, but I just haven't got to that place yet.
Have you watched the first season?
Yes.
This season is better.
I saw some scenes from it, but it's like, I hate to say this, Tom Cruise's Reacher to me.
You need the books, my friend. You need to read the books.
Oh, okay.
Better.
This guy's the embodiment of Reacher.
Oh.
Wolfman Curry just finished House 1 of House of the Dragon.
Oh,
I think season 2 is supposed to come out this summer, isn't it?
I don't know. I haven't followed it. First season was great.
Miss the Dragons.
While I have been on the show, he's been going through the garbage, tearing apart napkins. He's a little troublemaker.
All right, kids. Well, that brings us to 1 hour and 2 minutes. So, you know what that means? Tomorrow night, we are going to be live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central for Wyrd Awakenings. I'm not sure what the topic is. I think it might be another grab bag episode. But I do think the Wyrd kids will be there. Everyone is welcome. If y'all get some time, you ought to drop by.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm
sorry
if we didn't get to all your remarks in the chat.
Yeah, we had a full house tonight. We need to volunteer if someone wants to volunteer to be our chat room host.
Well, I always post them on the side so people can see them. So I think I got everyone tonight. And for those of you that miss Rich,
I got a new computer, so I can't figure it out. There, I'm like a monkey humping a doorknob.
Well, he should be back next week. So all of you fans, be sure to come back.
Yes, Mike. Thank you. I hope everybody has a happy and safe new year. And 2024 is going to be better than 2023 and 22.
We will. Yes. We'll see you next year.
All right, guys.
Ciao, everyone.
Until then,
I wish, man.
Don't drink and drive, and definitely a happy, healthy, and prosperous 2024.
Good night, y'all. Stay out of jail.